Welcome to the Divorce View Talk Show. Hello, it's Joanie Winberg, divorce mentor and founder of the new program called How to Emotionally Survive Divorce online course. I'm always thrilled to do this show with my co-host, Rosalind and Sedacca. Hello, Roz.
Hi, Joanie. See you again, as always. I'm Rosalind Sedacca. I'm recognized as the voice of child-centered divorce, a divorce and parenting coach, and author of How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce, and founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network. Joanie, why don't you tell us about our guest today? I'm very excited about this show.
Absolutely. We have a very special guest. She is so talented and certified in so many areas to help us with stress and how to really find that peace within. So I'm excited to bring on Mattia Patiniera. Mattia, did I pronounce that correctly? But welcome.
It's okay. Mattia Petier. Thank you.
Oh boy. I don't speak French very well at all. But I'm so thrilled that you're here. And please tell us about yourself, because you have so many things to talk about. We have so many things to talk about today.
Sure. It's my pleasure, and I'm so honored to be on this show. And I actually was born in Slovenia, which is in Eastern Europe. We have beautiful mountains, and I think that's how I got my first, I'm always very close to nature, which is very healing, and I always recommend that. But I had my own journey, my own challenges. So 17 years ago, I actually moved to the U.S., to Miami initially, and it seems like I keep moving more north. Now I'm in Delray Beach. And so I graduated from University of Miami with my master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I was always interested in relationships. However, more recently, I've been also meditating pretty much for 15 years or so. I'm very interested in spirituality and holistic healing modalities. And I think that my biggest impact is, my mission is to help women and men equally, internationally actually, not just here in the U.S., but internationally, to give them the tools to get rid of stress in a matter of minutes. And I teach some very powerful techniques, and I'm going to demonstrate some today. So this is my passion, helping people. I used to do a lot of different things, like I was a translator, I was a teacher. So I have probably like over 20 years of experience. And today we're going to really focus on managing stress during separation and divorce. Yeah. And that's what we're going to focus on.
And so, obviously, everyone knows that divorce is a magnet for stress and,
right.
and emotional challenges that are compounded compared to prior to divorce. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to learn some skills. So why don't you get us started?
Yes, my pleasure. So, like I said, since I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, I work with many, many couples over the years. And what I've seen in my practice, unfortunately, what happens is, many times we hope that things are going to change and we wait. So many times I get couples who are really, really, unfortunately, it's kind of a little late in the game, so to speak, to come to counseling. But I think that my role can still be to help them for the transition. And actually, I always read up on statistics because I'm curious. Not only that, I don't take everything like by word or, take everything with a grain of salt, but I think that it's a huge divorce rate, and people just don't have the skills. And I'm sure you came across, both of you ladies, in helping your clients, and it really can be really devastating for children. So my main thing is, when I'm helping people who are going for divorce, is I'm saying, which is gonna maybe sound a little strange, but you need to take care of yourself first. Because if your children see that you're managing this process pretty calmly and you're taking care of yourself, I think that's number one, I would say. Please take care of yourself. I always say my clients, put oxygen mask on yourself first.
Right.
You can be the best role model for your children, right? How to, manage this process.
And they don't know which way to turn themselves. They're confused and they're scared. So they're hoping that, you know, what they see in front of them as far as their role models for parents is going to give them some kind of help and support. And
Right.
I think parents really do signal the attitude and the approach to challenging situations such as divorce. If parents are handling it in a way that says, okay, this is a bump in the road for us, but we're going to move ahead and all be fine, it's a lot different mental state than if the parents are freaking out and crying and saying this is the worst thing that ever happened to us, because then the kids will pick up on that energy.
Oh, absolutely. So would it be helpful, or maybe it would be helpful for our listeners, if you give us some tips or tools that they could do in some tight situations? So probably the day before you go to court, or as you're walking into court, maybe there's something they can do. And then maybe there's other situations when they're working with their kids or having to speak with their ex after their divorce.
Right,
There's
right.
just different areas that are really pressure points and red flags that cause a lot of stress. So anything that can help people in those areas would be very
Yeah,
good.
and I have a wealth of resources also on my website, which is Natural Stress Management. But there, I want to just focus on three main points because I
Okay.
think that's going to be helpful. So the first point, which Rosalind already kind of mentioned, is the mindset, which is key. We always think, you know, that the other person is to blame, the other person is making us angry. But what I always say, it's really our story. It's our interpretation of the event. So when I work with my clients, or whether in workshops or one-on-one, I think the first thing we're going to work on is what are you saying to yourself? You know, are you saying, oh my God, this is horrible, I'm never going to get better, I'm never going to trust anybody? Or are you saying, you know, like you said, it's a bump in the road, you know, it's not what I really wanted, but I'm going to make the best out of it, and I'm going to work with my spouse, with my ex-spouse, to create still safe and loving environment for our children. So the mindset, so that's number one. And I think it's really the first step would be awareness, to become aware. Many times we don't know what we are saying to ourselves because we are always so busy running around traffic, and like we talked before with single moms, it's even more difficult. But when you're going for the divorce, it's very vulnerable, it's very emotional, it's a big upheaval in your life. So I think it's very important to manage your thoughts and think for a second. No, don't react. Maybe even imagine a stop sign. That usually works. So that would be my first tip, is to manage your thoughts and realize that, you know, the same situation can be observed in a totally different way. And our thoughts are the ones that create our emotions. So I always say, how do you catch yourself to say something that's not going to make you so upset or angry? But maybe it's going to be still a frustration, but you know, you're not going to be depressed 2 days and crying, which, you know, I'm not saying, I'm not saying that these emotions are not part of the process, but you don't want it to be on a daily basis so that it interferes with your functioning.
Mm.
So that's kind of the first point that I have there.
I used to always say, just cry yourself to sleep if you have to.
Right.
Maybe
And,
that's the time to do it.
and sometimes we have to do that. We actually, it's not healthy the other way to, to stuff our emotions either. Maybe you have to do journaling, finding a support group, but like I said, managing your thoughts is number one. And number two, what I want to mention, which I'm also big on because I've been studying mostly Eastern practices, Buddhism, primarily Zen Buddhism, and I think it's so important that we we pay attention to our breathing. Because when we are stressed out, when we are experiencing negative emotions, we sometimes our breathing becomes very shallow.
Mhm.
I mean, so this is really important to take a moment and breathe. Take a few deep breaths. I tell people, when you're at work, sometimes it's very difficult. Run into the bathroom, and maybe you can even combine breathing with women. I think they would like that, to get maybe some essential oils like lavender. So focus on breathing, and what we call a stress response really is a result of our fight or flight response when we are faced with the enemy or danger. And that's our natural or our primordial response, but we can train ourselves to start developing what I call a relaxation response. And just paying attention to our bodies are very wise, and we're gonna know that we are in trouble, right?
What would you say some things that women could be aware of that are the red flags from their bodies?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we may get, I mean, everybody has a little bit different reaction.
Different, right?
But so what happens with our stress response? We get flooded with, probably we all heard about cortisol increases. We get flushed, we get tense, you know, sometimes you may feel like, slamming the doors or crying. So, but physiologically, you're gonna notice that you'll become very rigid, very, something is not functioning right. The opposite, the stress response, when you feel you can handle life, you're breathing. So just paying attention to the red flags is when you start saying negative things to yourself, when you start self-defeating statements, when you become very tense, clenching the fists, yelling at kids. But that's the first step, is to become aware what is your body telling you. That's huge if you can figure that out.
Absolutely. I tend to feel it right here.
Yes.
So I think it shows up in different parts of our bodies as well. And I know it's like right in the back of the neck. And I just know that that's my red flag, that it's telling me to take 10 minutes and take a deep breath or change my scenery, but just to do something to help relieve some of that stress.
Yeah, it's so important. Yeah.
I think both of you will agree with me when I tell clients, never make important decisions when you're in that state. When you're feeling stressed, panicked, frightened, anxiety, or any of those kinds of states, those aren't the times to be making important decisions or starting a conversation about something important. You really want to use the skills to get back into a more relaxed state before you make decisions that are going to affect you.
And really be aware to see, are my thoughts right now disempowering me, or are they empowering me? So really low energy versus high energy. So something that we always talk about is being conscious of that. But a lot of people aren't. Have you found that yourself, that a lot of people just are learning to be aware, that you mentioned earlier?
Right, and I agree totally what Rosalind said as well, and that's what I'm saying. When you are in that flight or fight response, you cannot think rationally. And when I work with my clients, I actually use techniques that work more with the subconscious mind, because that's where we can make changes, if we can work with our beliefs and our thoughts. And many of people, and it's not everybody's fault, it's, hopefully we are making some changes now and becoming more conscious. But and that's why it's so good that you mentioned that, because I think that if we can make our unconscious become conscious, be aware, and a lot of people are just going through the motions, going to work, and I was just reading this wonderful book today by Osho. He was saying how, the first thing we really need to do is to love ourselves and be aware and get to know ourselves, get to know our triggers, get to know, what's pushing our buttons, get to know where the stress manifests, because it's different. For a lot of people, it's maybe the shoulders, could be the headaches, but just getting to know yourself, I think that's very important.
Absolutely. So we mentioned the two things. What would be the third that you were going to?
And yeah, so we mentioned breathing.
Right.
And we mentioned managing thoughts, but what I want to share, which is one of my favorite tools, and it's easy to manifest and demonstrate, because honestly, with NLP, it does take practice, but I want to share something that I use with my clients very successfully, and it's called emotional freedom technique. And it's also called the tapping technique, and it was developed by Gary Craig. And the best way I can describe it is an emotional version of acupuncture. You know, some people who do acupuncture, they don't like needles. And that's why I say this is so wonderful because, you know, you can do it yourself as often as you like, and it doesn't cost you anything, and it's not painful. I mean, I'm not saying it's as effective as maybe going through a thorough acupuncture treatment, but it has shown that it really, really makes changes in the behavior. And for example, the key to this theory is that the cause of all negative emotions is disruption in our energy system. And I'm just going to demonstrate very quickly, and you can, hopefully everybody can see.
I was just going to say, maybe sit up a little taller so they'll see your hands, baby. There you go. That's perfect.
Yeah, right. So let's say we're going through an anxiety, and we always want to mention or ask ourselves, you know, how high on a scale 1 to 10 is my anxiety today? And let's say you have a really bad day, you got in a fight with your boss or coworker, and then you come home and the kids are screaming. You know, it can happen.
Or you got to call your ex.
Or calling your ex, going to divorce, or getting a call from your you know, other attorney. So I think this is really helpful. So let's say our stress level and we want to get it down to 0. And we may have to do several repetitions, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to do a quick thing today, and that is something which we call basic recipe, and it goes like this. Even though I have this anxiety, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And a big part of this is, like I was sharing before, that many times we don't accept our emotions, right? So when we are saying these things, we're also affirming that it's okay to feel angry or frustrated or sad or whatever we're feeling. So I'm just going to do quick demonstration. So we're going to start here with the tongue. I usually start with the hand. And we can use just 2 fingers. And we say, even though I have this anxiety, I deeply, completely love and accept myself. And then I'm going to use all the fingers. Even though I have this anxiety, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Continue tapping. Don't forget to breathe. Even though I have anxiety, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then we skip the ring finger. I'm not sure why, but that's how they do it. And even though I have this anxiety, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then this point is called karate chop. And by the way, when I work with my clients, I have the handouts I share with them. Even though I have this anxiety, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then we go to the top of the head.
I like this one. I could use this one.
It's like monkeys. Kids love it because it's like, I say, pretend you're a monkey. Monkeys are always happy. So and I'm going to change some wording.
Okay.
Letting go of all this anxiety. Letting go of all this anxiety. And again, we can use 1 hand or we can use 2 hands. And that is something which anybody who studies practices to know the third eye, which is between both brows. Even though I still have this anxiety and I'm upset with my ex-husband, I deeply completely love and accept myself. And I know that this situation will heal and resolve itself. And I'm willing to let go of all this anxiety. And I'm willing to trust that there's going to be a positive outcome and that I'm going to learn my lesson. And this is soft spot. It's like we go from the throat to here. It's like a little tender. And then we continue tapping, letting go of all this anxiety. Letting go of all this anxiety because I deserve to be happy. And that's what I usually say is under the bra strap. So this is really a very brief demonstration, but it's highly effective. I mean, sometimes I do it when I get a headache even, and it really disappears. And my big thing is helping people without medication. We are so overly medicated. So I'm always trying to give my clients the top tools in behavioral science, which is clinical hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, and tapping. Because if we can access our, these beliefs that are sometimes formed even before age 7, and we are not aware of them, why do we get upset with somebody said something and it has nothing to do with the present, right? So that's why this kind of techniques really help. And I could imagine going through divorce, or even, let's say you are waiting for a judge, you want to go to the bathroom and do really quick tapping, you find yourself anxious. I think it really works well.
I think
I've used that technique many times in the past, and it's been very, very useful. It's a great resource, and it's always good to have things that you can do yourself, where you feel you're working on your body at your own pace, and experiencing the relief, and you can measure the relief so you know when it's working.
And I think it empowers you, just that alone, Roz, as you're saying, because you can do something for yourself instantly. You don't have to go and get medication. You don't have to call and make an appointment or something. You can just do it instantly. And so it really empowers you to say, I've got a tool to help myself. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure, once again, people know how to get to your website. And
Sure.
can some of these tools and any examples be on the website as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a basic explanation, but to really do this, you really need to work with somebody like me. I don't have, you have to work with me, but it's really a process involved. I was trained by somebody who was directly trained by Gary Craig, and my website, again, is called naturalstressmanagement.com. And on my website, you also find a free report if you decide to opt in. I have a report which is titled 5 Tips to Relieve Stress Instantly at Your Desk. Because sometimes we are working as, busy women, busy, we are all busy, and then run home. So sometimes we just need those few tricks, and I have that report on there available too, which mentions some of these techniques we discussed today. And I also have videos, I have blog articles, so there's a lot of resources. And I also have I'm available on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all that information, if you go to my website, going to be also right there.
Well, it's nice to be able to go there, and they can contact you there as well as get that report that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I do want to mention that I offer a free consultation for 15 minutes. And people can also call me at 561-299-1028. I'm very busy, and so I always have to schedule. I cannot, even for a consultation needs to be scheduled. So if anybody's interested, I love doing this. I helped hundreds of people, and it's really my true calling, my passion. And again, thank you so much for having me this show.
Well, I just wanted to do, before we do go, as far as, is there any other little short tip that you'd like to share with us, or anything else you'd like to pull together for us today?
Well, in summary, I just want to say, going through divorce is a very stressful process. In addition to using these tools that we discussed, I think it's very important to have a strong support system. And if that is not your own family, there's so much out there. Like, I always recommend meetup.com.
Oh, yes.
My clients, because they have so many wonderful things, from meditation to yoga. And I think going through divorce, it doesn't have to be so hard. And I think the important thing is, too, I have several clients right now who are going through divorce, is to remember it's a process. And the more you can discuss things beforehand, the less stressful it's going to be, especially when it comes to money and shared custody. So I actually also have an article that talks about the effects of divorce on children on my blog post. And there's some interesting points there as well, how to help children with different ages, different developmental stages in life, because everybody's different. But I think just the main thing is just do it. I mean, just do something for yourself every day, even if it's 10 minutes. And that's especially in the morning, to start your day on a positive note. And for example, I never watch TV anymore. I don't watch the news. I just think that we are bombarded with negative news. So just try to go back to the basics, going to the nature, any support, and using on any of these tools. I think that's going to be great.
Excellent. Roz, do you have anything that you want to bring up or add? Or
Well, I think those tools that Matea had given us are really wonderful tools. I've used them myself, and I think she's so right that when we're dealing especially with the children, we have to be conscious of the fact that we are role models at all times. They look to us as the guide, the model, and the example of how to accept things, how to move through things, how to tolerate things. And sometimes we forget that, and then we're expecting or lecturing our kids to do something different from the way we ourselves are behaving. And one of the most dramatically negative aspects of parenting after divorce is when your children end up parenting you because you don't have the emotional stability to hang on well. And the kids start feeling sorry for you and start saying, "Oh, it's okay, Mom or Dad. It's okay. We're going to take care of things." And you don't want to do that to your children. So it's so important to remember, as a parent, you can be honest about your feelings, but you don't want to rob your children of their childhood by making them parent you and be more responsible than you are yourself.
Absolutely. And Matea, I was going to mention too, as far as some of these tips that you showed us, it's also good to have your children do them with you.
Oh yeah, I mean, like tapping, like I said, I don't work with children as much anymore,
But
but
I mean,
I think it's
they
great.
can follow you,
They
right?
can follow. They
Okay.
can follow with parents. They can do it together. Make it a fun thing.
That's
I mean,
right.
I think it's great.
And giving them a resource that they can take advantage of when they're in school or needing that boost.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And realizing these little people get stressed out too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do, and it's just, if they start learning this, I wish everybody would learn like meditation and breathing early in life, and learn how to handle these negative emotions, how to handle challenges, and if you start early, and I'm seeing in younger generations right now, I have several teenagers I work with who are so much more open, and I think it's wonderful. So there's hope for us. I think.
Definitely. So once again, your website is, tell us again your website.
Naturalstressmanagement.com. My name is Matea Petier. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I actually like to call myself holistic psychotherapist because this is very important to me. And my company is actually called Holistic Coaching International. And within that, I'm really focusing on stress management.
Excellent. Thanks. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. You've given us some valuable information, tools that can be used immediately for somebody as soon as they're aware that they're feeling stressed out. So this is really good. And then to go to your website to get some more information and to connect with you if they wish. So thanks for being on the show. And you can also see this show as the video part, the recorded video, on divorceview.com. So we enjoy being here, and we also now are a podcast. So we will be sending more of that information out to you so you can, if you're on the run and don't have time to view a video, you can listen to it as a podcast. So we're thrilled to be a part of that as well.
Absolutely.
So thanks so much for tuning in to the Divorce View Talk Show, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.